Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Well, I'm glad I was just thinking, I hope she remembers the time. Okay, so without wanting to waste any of your time, I'm Victoria A. Brown. I'm the online editor at the Journal Star. And kind of like you, I left Nebraska when I graduated from college. I went to college here, but then I left for like 11 years and then came back. So I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so you graduated from Southwest. Were you born in Lincoln?
No, I was born in Houston, but I grew up in Lincoln basically ever since I was 4 years old. So,
Okay, cool. And then you went from Lincoln to Stanford right away?
yes.
Okay. And You graduated from there, international relations, human biology, and religious studies. And then did you go straight to Harvard Law?
No, I actually worked at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau,
Okay.
which was just starting up as an agency at that time. Elizabeth Warren was heading it up, and I served as her special assistant. And yeah, it was an amazing experience because I started out when there was just 20 of us, and by the time I left, there was like 200. So
Wow.
to be part of an agency that was sort of, at its formative stage was really fun.
And how long did you do that?
That was about a year.
About a year. And then you went to Harvard Law, and I saw you graduated with honors and did lots of stuff there. And so after that, you went and clerked for a judge?
Yeah, so immediately after that, I worked at a law firm in the Bay Area, and did startup and securities and other kind of corporate work. And then I clerked for a judge in Boston on the First Circuit Court of Appeals.
Okay, cool. All right, and so the clerking for the judge, that was right before you came back to Lincoln?
That's right.
Okay, so that would have been what, 2017 or 2018?
2017, I believe, yeah.
Okay, and then you came back and you worked at Rimbold Lukey, and lots of corporate stuff. And then you joined the mayor's office in 2019, is that right? Or was it 2020?
2019.
Okay, and you were a policy aide to Gaylor Baird. And now you've turned over to the private sector and you're with the Elnet renewable energy team. Is it okay to say that?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah. My technical title is legal counsel for tax and renewable energy. But yeah.
I figured you were something with the law since you have that background. And then are you married or have kids or anything like that?
Yes, I am married. My husband's name, I can, it's his name is Rajat Krishna. I can give you the spelling, but, and I have one son, Dylan Krishna, who was born December 14th of last year. And so he is, of 2019. So he's,
he's crawling all over, walking by now.
He's walking, actually. Yeah, he's he's almost 14 months old, and yeah, he's amazing.
I'm sure that's an adventure at home. Do you have to keep him there all day?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have a lot of support from our mothers and from we've got a nanny, but yeah, he's at home.
Okay, and are your parents still in Lincoln?
Yes.
Okay, that's really cool. So when you came back to Lincoln, you had been gone for what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did the Lincoln that you left after high school compare with the one you returned to?
I would say that the Lincoln I returned to seemed a lot more vibrant and different and the same. Different in that it was a bit more vibrant and hip and happening, with the Haymarket and everything, and just some of the other the breweries and some of the other things that kind of make this sort of culturally rich. But then the same in that, and what partly what enticed me to come back is you still have, for me, that very much that kind of small town feel and that balance of work and life, and not too much of the hustle bustle. And I forgot when I was on the coast, like how much I enjoyed just looking out and seeing this like broad expanse of sky here. And so that was fortunately just the same. So
yeah. What did you learn at Stanford and Harvard that you draw on while you're working in Lincoln?
Well, one of the things I guess I learned at Stanford was, I did a lot of different things, international relations, human biology, religious studies. And I guess one of the things I learned there was kind of being able to look at things from multiple dimensions and perspectives. And part of that's who I don't know, that's kind of how I am. Maybe it's like the half Indian part of me that's like, I love kind of, reconciling these sort of, I don't know, seemingly different views and perspectives. And so that's one thing I definitely took. And then from Harvard, certainly kind of an analytical rigor, a way of approaching things in a very kind of methodical and thorough way. And, but, you know, if anything, I think those experience kind of reinforce that, you know, as wonderful as they were, you know, I was so antsy to leave, but it definitely made me have a greater appreciation for Lincoln and for home. Yep. You know.
Since you've worked both in public service and the private sector, mm-hmm. how would you say that it's different?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think one of the unfortunate things is that I think a lot of times it's easy to kind of caricature both. You know, on the one hand, you know, the caricature of the public sector, the public servant is, you know, red tape and, you know, just kind of no, and barriers, obstacles. And then the character of the private sector person is sort of, you know, greedy, self-maximizing, all of that. And I guess I think that part of why I've enjoyed working in both is seeing there's a lot more underneath that. And there, you know, there's a lot to be grateful for, you know, and there's a lot of amazingly competent and good-hearted people on in both capacities. And so, you know, on the public sector side, I really am grateful for, you know, at least on the local level, I was able to see how much work goes into, you know, really solving some like collective action problems, whether it's like, how do we get our water or wastewater, all of these things. There's amazing people working on those things. And, you know, they're not trying to hold people up or make things more difficult for you, but you know, they're truly acting in the public interest, and you know, we need that. We need that check and that sensibility. And then on the private side, I feel like well, one of the reasons I was attracted to Elnet is that yeah, there's a commitment to growth and returns and business excellence, but there's also that commitment to the community, to local, you know, that kind of Midwestern sensibility and ethics that, you know, they're like with renewable energy being a prime example. You know, it's good for the company and the bottom line, but it's good for the community, the environment. You know, we've got a lot of solar projects that we've helped power. It's amazing. So I'm excited to be part of that expansion.
That's great. How are you involved in the community in Lincoln right now, I guess?
Yeah, so I'm involved in a couple different ways. Right now I'm serving as co-chair of the mayor's Interfaith Prayer Breakfast Committee, and I'm really excited for this year's prayer breakfast, which will take place on April 7th with two amazing speakers, Parker Palmer and Reverend Greg Ellison, Reverend Dr. Greg Ellison, rather. And I am on the board of directors for the Lincoln Bar Association. I also serve on the Lincoln Council for International Visitors. And yeah, and then I mean, I volunteer at Matt Talbot's as well.
Cool, I've done that as well. It's really fun. I saw it, I mentioned in my email to you that I had seen the articles back when you had volunteered at Mother Teresa's orphanage and how it was eye-opening, and I was like, yeah, that is so cool. And you were talking about, you know, I guess like how much people here in the United States are privileged, and you guys raised money for to help with building a school in Sierra Leone. And part of your thing at Southwest was to put up shock statements around the hallways. And I was impressed with that. And I was like, and I think one of them on poverty was 3 billion people in the world live on less than $2 a day. And I thought, so do you think we still need some shock statements around now?
Yeah, you know, but I think it's interesting because I mean, certainly the economic shocks are there, and you know, the pandemic has only magnified them and shown a spotlight on them. But I think the other thing now is the sort of social aspect, you know, and the mental health aspect. I feel like that's some of the shocks from that are going to continue to reverberate really profoundly. But yes, I think this period of time has been shocking in a lot of ways, and it'll stay with us.
Let's see. You also mentioned wanting to travel more. Have you been able to travel since your trip to India?
Yes, that's one of the things I've been really grateful and fortunate to do. I, you know, been kind of all over Europe, Italy many times, you know, have been to Bali, which I loved, and Cambodia. I've been to, trying to think of some other things that I can.
All over the U.S., just with
all over the U.S., certainly all over the U.S. Yes, Mexico many times. Yeah, no, I'm an avid traveler, you know, and that's something I'm definitely looking forward to restarting post-pandemic.
Although it's a little bit harder when you have a toddler in tow.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but
yeah. I still remember my daughter was like 2 and we were trying to in the LA airport and she just like ran away from me and I was the only person there and I had to try to run after her and luckily she wasn't that fast, but she was fast enough that I looked like a fool running, you know, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what if I don't catch her? Anyway, so how do you keep yourself centered in the midst of a busy schedule, community service, the pandemic, political strife, and all the other things that are going on?
I mean, that's a great question. I'm glad that you're asking that. I guess for me, probably I'm in some ways, I think my son Dylan has been an incredibly centering force in my life because he's so present, as all babies are, that somehow being with him, it just makes me be more present in the moment. I think a lot of times, like the times where I felt more discombobulated, it's because I'm stressed out about work or, you know, the political environment or just thinking to the future. And I'm just not really living in a moment. I'm just, you know, waiting for this period to go by. And it's those times with him where I feel very, very present and engaged. I'd say in addition to that, I have, you know, some contemplative practices, you know, yoga, meditation, and reading. But yeah, I'd say probably spending time with Dylan most of all.
Yeah, that's great. Sometimes, you know, when we're younger, we're more ideological, but it sounds like you've kind of, you know, kept your focus on trying to do things that you believe in. Do you feel like you're more firm in your beliefs now that you're older?
I think the thing that I'm more firm about is for me, the need to kind of bridge divides and see the humanity and light in one another. I mean, that has never been more important. And so I guess I'm, you know, obviously I do have some, you know, beliefs and ideas as it relates to, you know, political and ideological matters. But to me, the thing that is kind of most paramount right now is kind of being able to, you know, really try and bridge those divides within ourselves and with one another. I think, yeah, there's a lot of false certitude going around, and I'm trying to be liberated by just this idea of, you know, I don't know, and I'm going to falter, but I want to try and learn about you and, you know, and improve. And that's to me is really liberating.
You were clear that you know, you're speaking as a private citizen now that you don't work for the mayor's office, but what are you hoping that happens in Lincoln in the near term?
I guess in that spirit, I just, as maybe very fairy as it sounds, I want kind of more positive energy in the community. I think a lot of, I mean, having worked in the public sector, there's a lot of really amazing, good-hearted, incredibly competent and dedicated people, you know, and you know, they're doing the best that they can. And I would love for more people to, you know, to be able to kind of have that recognition and, you know, and yeah, I guess that would probably be the main thing.
So I don't know how much of all of this I'll be able to fit in this article or how much space he'll give me, but you said that you'd find out what you could say about, you know, your new focus in renewable energy. And I know we've had reports on Elnet branching out into solar and managing solar projects.
Yeah.
So what is going on right now with your job and what are you guys looking at doing or what can you say about it anyway?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to confirm in case that came up, but
Well,
yes,
yeah.
the company is very excited to, the Nelnet sort of, I mean, it's diversifying in a lot of different ways, and this is one of the ways it's doing so, I think, to the benefit of all. And with respect to solar, a lot of these solar projects get financed by a combination of tax equity and debt and some other things. And so Nelnet is, is a leader in kind of the tax equity space, and is sort of, I think, really paving the way for a carbon-free future by facilitating the development of solar projects all over the country. I think there's been like 86 plus solar farms that Nelnet has had a role in helping.
Really?
And helping
Wow.
facilitate. So yeah, it's really amazing. And I mean, those facilities are providing power to, schools, municipalities, individuals, like a huge range of people. And so I'm just really, they're going to continue to grow in both the sort of solar financing end of it, but also, maybe over time branching into some other aspects, development. Right now, Nelnet's also helping on the servicing side of things. So if you're someone who's a customer and, subscribing to purchasing solar for your own home, Nelnet may be helping service your account. So they're in kind of a lot of different aspects of this space. And so it's going to continue to keep growing, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Very cool. Very cool. One of the things when we're talking, and I'm thinking about you being a mom who's got this little guy, do you feel torn between your professional self and you've got all this stuff going on with your career? And I mean, I know it was hard for me, and I was in an hourly job back when my daughter was little, but I can't imagine your job and you've got these community service things. How do you do it, or do you feel torn? I mean,
it's funny. I'm one of those people where, if I'm feeling motivated and inspired, it actually doesn't feel that bad. But I have been in situations, and there have been times, I think, inevitably over the course of one's professional career, where it just feels very depleting as opposed to regenerative. And so I think that's still something I'm trying to find, that sense of regenerative energy in all aspects of my life. It's not perfect, there's times where I struggle, but fortunately, I think companies are having a growing sense of awareness about that, especially with remote work. It's easy to feel a little bit isolated sometimes. And so I've been very fortunate that Nelnet's really been attuned to that. And I think I have good hopes for that. And so far, so good in terms of managing that balance. So,
well, is there anything else that you would like to tell people about yourself?
I guess, I was looking at some different Q&As that maybe this may not be germane to this type of Q&A, but I thought you might potentially ask me about my favorite quote. So if that's relevant at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is, but it's sort of, I think, maybe relevant to some of the things I've said. But one of my favorite quotes is Howard Thurman said, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and go do that." Because what the world needs is people who come alive. And so the reason I kind of have been thinking about that a lot in my own life is I just think, a lot of times we can get really preoccupied with what impact are we making? How do I, do X, Y, or Z? And I don't know. I'm starting to increasingly think the best thing you can do is just, do what makes you come alive. Listen to your inner voice, and you kind of honor your intuition, and that's the best thing we can do, because that's what ends up leading to kind of change in a positive way. So I guess that might be my parting thought.
Yeah. Well, very cool. If you could email me just like your husband's name and the names of those two people you said were going to speak at your prayer breakfast for the interfaith prayer breakfast. I don't know that we've had that, and so I just wanted to make sure I knew what that was in case that ended up getting mentioned. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we're gonna put that in the paper. So yeah, that would be good to
yeah, just to make sure I have those spelled right, and it'd probably be easier to email than to spell them with each letter to make sure that they're spelled correctly. But it does sound like an exciting thing. And you said that was in April, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, feel free, if by the way, if you, when you write anything up, if you want me to double check something, or if you had a question about something.
Yeah, totally. Well, this has been awesome to talk to you and get to know another person out there, since I'm actually sitting at my desk in my bedroom and didn't want you to see my messy unmade bed in the back. I've got my dream of being at the beach or whatever.
I like it.
You know, but we're all like isolated in our own little worlds here. And so, yeah, so that's just awesome. I thank you so much, Alyssa. I really appreciate knowing you're out there and your positive vibes are kind of spreading, I guess. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. It's very nice to meet you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.